Hey friends, and welcome to a brand new series on One with the Films. We got a red hot episode for you today. I hear you guys out there on the social media spaces. I hear you saying film is dead. You're saying nobody makes anything original anymore. That it's all remakes and reboots, and you're tired of it. And I get it. And you're so tired that you don't even want to go to the cinema anymore since everything feels the same. So why shell out hard-earned cash? It's not going to blow you away anyway. Well, I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this, sweetie. You are the problem. Not really, but we kind of are the problem a little bit because, as we say always, these studios are always going where the money is, and this is where we have been putting our money, right? So this is where we've been putting it in the reboots, remakes, the cinematic universes. But even in this dark pit of shame, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, a darling place where you and your like-minded, story-hungry friends can come together and witness, nay, be a part of something amazing. So international film festivals, they are the home to so many up-and-coming films and creatives, and they are the best place to open your mind to some things that you may have never come across through the general marketing pushes of the bigger studios. And while it seems like it would just be the kind of place that's just infested with film bros who want to prove that they're better and smarter than you, that's not actually what they're about. Actually, really, really approachable, and they bring together people from all over the world to share in the art form we all love, and it gives everyone kind of a chance to shine a light on some of the most beautiful works of art known to humankind. And they're also filled with wacky and wild, low-budget craziness too that you just can't help but fall in love with. And I don't know what else One with the Films is about, if not that. And for today, we're traveling to the stunning islands of Aotearoa to discuss the New Zealand International Film Festival with one of my absolutely favourite people ever to walk this earth. You know him by many names. It's he who shall not be shamed. It's the king of clapbacks. It's the smooth-talking, lore-dropping, film-loving, third-time returning guest. It's Tate, baby. Say hey, boo.
Hey, how are we doing? That was a good intro. That was a good one. I think Keegan will be proud with the names that I got there.
I aim to please. Yeah, and I'm one half of the One with the Films crew. So we usually have Keegan as well. On the special episode, it's just me. And yeah, I'm Naf. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. And a reminder that you can find One with the Films on all your podcasting platforms of choice, as well as live and on demand here on YouTube. This episode is pre-recorded, so you can still comment as it's a premiere episode. However, I can't comment back. So I will chat to you later. If not, and if you're listening on demand, we still love you. So Tate, you got to attend the New Zealand International Film Festival this year. I didn't get to attend the New Zealand International Film Festival. Was this your first time at a fest?
It was my first time, and I saw the notice for it, and I was like, damn, it's kind of cool. I think you kind of have this perception around film festivals that it's kind of not really, it's only for people who make the movies, it's only for press, it's only for celebrities.
Yeah.
But it's a public festival, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that I could go to these things. I can do that. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So I read up about it, and I was like, okay, well, what do you do? How does it work? And you just literally pick which movie you want to go watch, and like a normal film. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, let me biblically greedy that I am, load my plate up with as many movies as I can in that little 2 weeks that everything was showing, and I took it from there, and I had an absolute blast. I plan to do it again next year. I plan to do so many more. I've got the travel bug for film festivals. I cannot wait. It was amazing. It's
one of those things that's on my bucket list as well. Like, I want to travel for a film festival too. Like, I know Keegan's been to, I think it was Cannes he's been to.
He was Cannes,
and a couple of others. And we obviously had a friend at TIFF this year as well. Like, I'm watching everyone go, and I'm like, oh, I want to go there. And it's one of those things that I got to attend a lot of the films this year with one of my friends at the Melbourne Film Festival. And it does feel like it's a nice communal thing. Like, it's so cool to go with a couple of people and just go check out some random stuff. How many films did you get to watch at your film fest this year?
I managed to watch 9 films, which may seem like a lot for some people. It's not a lot in the grand scope of things. There was about 86 feature films, 19 short films. There was a lot going on there. It's really all dependent on timing as well. I'm not press. I still work a job, so I can't go to all the showings that I want to. Travel and distance is a thing, but I managed to lock in 9 that I was really keen to see. And I'm so grateful. And I think especially if you're someone like me who has severe FOMO anytime something cool happens, like you and with everyone else who went to TIFF, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I wish I got to watch these movies. I'm really glad I got to see some of these, some new ones, some films that I've already seen this year that I loved, but seeing them on the big screen, that's what it's made for. So
it's crazy too, and I don't think I realized how big the New Zealand festival is, and Melbourne as well. Like, I didn't expect either of our film festivals to be on the level that like a Cannes or a TIFF or something is, but like nearly 100 films for both of us that are available. Looking back at, for example, MIFF as well, there are some like huge films that premiered at MIFF that are like big Australian films that are out now and that have gone on to win Oscars and then be crowned any other kind of awards as well, and it's insane. But run me through it. So if you got to pick, we had, like we said, 86 features and 19 shorts to choose from. You picked 9. So hit me. What are 9 unique films from this year that not enough people have seen?
Oh man, okay. So I'm gonna start in random order. I'm just gonna go for it. But okay, so the first movie I picked was Evil Does Not Exist by Ryūsuke Hamaguchi. And I picked that one. He did Drive My Car, which was really big last year. That's one of the films that everyone was really talking about. I hadn't seen Drive My Car. I'm going to sound like a millennial, but it's a 3.5-hour movie. So I hadn't really gotten around to that quite just yet. But I thought, okay, well, let me see what he's cooking here. This one was an hour 40. So I was like, yes, awesome, great. Even the premise and the idea, evil does not exist, is very like, it's a big statement. You say that to someone, you're like, wait, what do you mean evil doesn't exist? I turn on the TV at 6 every evening. I can see evil on the TV, on the news. So it was a really interesting, just the general idea of it. And you've got a very highly acclaimed director. So I hopped into that one and it was a huge experience. But we'll get to that once we get more depth. Second one I saw was The Beast by Bertrand Bonello. A lot of my friends had seen The Beast. I think it was on streaming at that point. So I could have gone to look at it on streaming. I was like, well, I haven't seen it. All my friends are talking about it. I would rather go watch it on the big screen. Léa Seydoux is one of my favorite actresses, so a big draw for me as well to go see her. That was outstanding and very thought-provoking in itself. Third one was Problemista by Julio Torres. I was told by a friend of mine, I sent him the whole list. I'm like, is there anything good on here? And he's like, oh yeah, you want to watch Problemista? And I was like, okay, well, if you say it's good, I will go watch it. And I walked away with that being my second favorite movie of the year. I reacted in that movie the same way that people reacted when Captain America picked up Thor's hand. I'm dead serious. I was ululating and yodeling like it was my job.
That's amazing.
It was a crazy movie. 4, I saw Cuckoo by Tilman Singer. I was drawn to that for Hunter Schafer. I'm very sorry. That is the only reason I was there. 2 reasons, Dan Stevens as well. I'm a big fan. 3 reasons, Jessica Henwick as well.
Yeah,
big three. Very cool names. These guys kind of they're not at the forefront of everything, but they're really cool in every single role they do, especially Dan Stevens. He's a good actor. He's got
such range too.
He does, exactly. And especially this year, he went from Godzilla versus Kong, where he's doing the most Looney Tunes cartoon performance, to this, where he's like a mad German scientist with the worst accent ever. It's really, it's something. And then Hunter Schafer, I adore her. She's a talent. She's rising. She's up and coming. And I enjoyed her in Kinds of Kindness this year, and I wanted to see what else she was doing. So I managed to grab that. Fifth one I watched was Grand Theft Hamlet. That one you hooked in because of the title. I looked at everything, saw the title. I'm like, what's that about? And I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a Baz Luhrmann, the Romeo and Juliet. It's in the modern day and they're retelling the story. No, Grand Theft Hamlet is the entirety of Hamlet recreated in Grand Theft Auto Online during COVID lockdowns by professional actors, professional voice actors, Shakespeare qualified individuals. And I was like, okay, well, I want to see how they pulled this off, this documentary about making this thing. And it's outstanding. It's a great time.
That was one that you'd recommended to us on our last episode too. You actually had this. And I put it on my list and I wanted to check it out because that was during MIFF and it clashed with a couple of other watches. So I haven't seen it yet, but it's still on my list to get to this year. I'm really keen for that.
It's good. I don't know if it's getting a wide distribution soon, but I hope so. It's like the perfect movie to drop on Netflix or something that you can just watch with the boys for like an hour or two. Like super cool. Speaking of Netflix though, number 6 was Remarkable Life of Ibelin, which I think you saw at MIFF as well. I caught that. I read the premise and I was like, okay, that's a really cool idea. This kid connecting through, gaming and how that builds a culture and a community. Oh man, oh God, Jesus Christ. Everyone was sobbing through that whole movie, myself included. Yeah. That was a big one. That is coming to Netflix in October. I think it's getting a limited theatrical in some places, but it was very, very comforting movie to watch in a group of people in a community. It was something special. On the topic of community, number 7 was Didi by Wang. That's a coming of age film. I won't lie, with everything that's going on in the world, you see a movie called Didi, you kind of chuckle, you're like, Didi, I'll go watch the Didi movie. I watched it. I thought it was interesting. I like the coming of age thing. One of my friends recommended to me, and yes, Didi. But it was really heartwarming. it was a very, you know, a kind of a standard coming of age film, but it had its own flavor and it had its own uniqueness. And
Yeah.
the appeal of it being set in like 2008 when I kind of grew up as well, it was cool. I kind of got it. I kind of got what they were going for there. Coming of age, talking about that, number 8, I saw the TV Glow by Jane Schoenbrun. Oh,
I've got the colors set up for this one.
Yeah, exactly. You got the bi-lighting. I like that.
Let's go.
I watched that already this year, and it's my favorite movie of the year by far. So I was like, well, if I get to watch that on the big screen, it's a piece of cake. And man, I think at that point in the film festival, I was fatigued, I was exhausted. It was like I got hit by a runaway train. I was like, man, I think I might pass on this one. But I dragged myself to go watch it, and it was so worth seeing it on the big screen again. Outstanding. Remarkable filmmaking, one of my favorite movies maybe ever. It's just that good. It's just that good. And then number 9, as I dragged my carcass that was already a shell of itself to number 9, I got to see All We Imagine Is Lights by Payal, a film that I was recommended by a friend of mine who later saw it at TIFF a couple of weeks ago. He said it was going to be a big one to watch out for, and it was really, oh man, it was really something. It's indescribable, the kind of the kind of film that is. The kind of testament it is to the people of Mumbai and the life they live and the complications of living and aging and the dissonance between generations. It was very interesting. I was kind of captivated by that premise. I'm getting old. I'm getting sentimental. So
you say as someone like 5 years younger than me, right? Like,
yeah. I'm old. I feel old. My back feels old. My body feels old.
Look, we live in unprecedented times. We're aging mentally fast. You know, I can feel it. I'm like the level that we're at of what we've experienced compared to our parents. I don't know, man. I don't know. We give them room for their money.
These 9 films I experienced for 9 lifetimes more than my parents did, so I'm old, man.
Exactly right. I mean, you double down technically with I Saw the TV Glow as well, because we kind of have 2 lives in there, so.
Exactly. Man.
Kill me. But looking through your list, there's a couple that I got to check out at MIFF as well that I'd seen already too. And there are a bunch that I haven't that are now on my list because of you, because we were communicating a lot during that time and talking about all the stuff we'd seen. So like, Evil Does Not Exist. I did find it like available to stream, so I'm ready to watch that when the time comes, but I haven't got to it yet. Same deal for The Beast, but Problemista and I Saw the TV Glow I'd actually seen earlier this year, and I loved both of them so much. Problemista in particular, being like my family is from El Salvador, like part El Salvador and part Uruguay, and I don't think I've ever in my life seen a film made by a Salvadorian. And that actually, partially takes place in there too, so there was something so captivating about that. So, what's the word? Like magical about just going, he's actually me. Like he's one of me. That's mental. I got to see Cuckoo as well. Grand Theft Hamlet was too many clashes for me, so I didn't get to see that one, but I did catch Remarkable Life of Ibelin after you recommended it. I saw Didi. I already had that one set up, and I haven't seen All We Imagine Is Light. My first hearing of that is now with your last watch, which sounds amazing. I was just looking at the page on Letterboxd. That's going to go on my list too. So there are a couple here that I've seen and a couple that I haven't. But for anybody who's listening, just before we go any further, the conversations aren't spoiler free. We're not necessarily doing play-by-plays, but we are talking about the film with the expectation that you've probably seen it. That being said, the idea is to entice you to go and watch these films as well. So we're not going to go in depth into crazy spoilers or anything like that. But if you do want to go in completely blind, you have the list. Evil Does Not Exist, The Beast, Problemista, Cuckoo, Grand Theft Hamlet, Remarkable Life of Ibelin, Didi, I Saw the TV Glow, All We Imagine Is Light. If you want to go in completely blind, it's totally fine to go check those movies out and come back later. Otherwise, we're going to do a little bit of a chat about them and try and sell you on going checking these films out. But starting up, Evil Does Not Exist. You mentioned this is by the same director as Drive My Car, another film that I haven't seen, one of Keegan's favorites, like one of his all-time favorites, I believe. And those 2 things had sold me on this film as well, but it wasn't available here to watch, at least in the times that I was available. And so it's sitting on my list, ready to go. But can you tell me a little bit about what this film is about?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I think the fact that you might not have seen it was because the guy who did the NZIFF event, he came out before and he was talking about how much he loves that movie in Japanese cinema. I think he specifically might have asked for it to be there. So it was a really big deal to get to watch that. I've heard it be described as an eco-fable. I like that word. Eco-fable is really cool. Essentially, it's about this small community who live in rural Japan. They got a really chilled life. They live off the land. They keep it small and simple, nothing too crazy. And this big company comes and they're like, hey, we want to turn this area into a glamping site, like glamour camping. And, we're going to make it big and it's going to help the economy and it's going to be amazing. And it's kind of about the clash between these two people, this kind of community that's like, well, we kind of like it simple here. We don't really want that. Your water is going to like run off into like rivers and your pollution. And, we don't really want that versus the company who are kind of like, oh, no, but we really want to help and we want to bring like a commerce to this place, and we want to, your noodle shop, we want to get people to eat your noodles. And it's kind of back and forth where they're trying to read each other and suss each other out, and whether those two ideals can coexist or anyone's kind of general. And what goes on in this movie and the catalysts and the consequences and the fallout, it's going to provoke in your mind that question: does evil exist? Is there an inherent evil to people's actions? And what kind of provokes that? Is it intended? Is it unintended? Is it worth consequence? Is it worth punishment or not? So it's very much an intellectual conversation. It's very, very artsy.
I think the poster I'm looking at right now on Letterboxd is so beautiful. Like it's him staring off on the lake. It's like frozen on the sides and the reflection and the girl and the moose in the background. Stunning.
I kid you not, the first 5 minutes of this movie is a continuous pan of a forest for like genuinely 5 minutes. I checked my phone. I was like, is it? Oh, no, we're still going. It's like one of those movies. Like you need to sit with the vibe and sit with the energy and kind of, you kind of need to make yourself vulnerable. You need to make yourself naked and get ready to really like understand what is being said to you. It's very heavy to watch, but very good, very rewarding, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at some of the details here as well. I can see it's got a 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. This one, you've got 295 people that have it as one of their top 4 films, which is really interesting for a brand new film. But yeah, you got 77,000 watches. It's been added to 27,000 lists, and it's liked by 25,000 people. And yeah, it looks stunning. So we've got Hitoshi Omika and Ryo Nishikawa as the main characters there. And as we said, it was directed by Ryūsuke Hamaguchi, and also written and edited by him too. With cinematography by Yoshio Kitagawa. And I probably butchered a lot of those names, so I'm really sorry. But it's wild. Like you said, one-man band. It's like we were talking last week on One with the Films about the movie Primer. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't seen Primer.
That one I reckon would be right up your alley. $7,000 budget. Choco brought it on. It's like sci-fi.
Nice.
Sci-fi on a budget. And that one was written, directed, starring, edited, sound, produced all by the writer of the film.
One dude.
Nice. Mental. So I love seeing stuff like this. And obviously the film's sitting at just under 2 hours, so 106 minutes runtime, including credits.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting one to sort of cut your teeth in. It sounds a little bit almost like the Lorax a bit. We got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about that as well, I think a lot of the people in the movie who play are kind of like the villagers, are kind of people who just live there. I believe the main character, who's like the main guy, he's kind of like I want to say he's kind of like the groundsman of the village. Like he like, oh yeah, my toilet broke, he'll go help you. Like, oh yeah, I need someone to take my kid to school. Like he'll go help. He's played by a guy who lives in the village who has almost little to no prior acting experience, I believe, and he just wore his clothes that he usually wears to work in the movie. Like very, very simple, very casual. Like it really is a labor of love, and it's a message that's not built on quicksand. It's got a strong foundation in like the reality of the people who live there and the culture and the community, which I think makes it really, really resonant, very real. Yeah, exactly right. And as you said, I feel like it's one of those things that like it sounds like everyone's kind of probably experienced that someone's coming into my space, like the sort of discomfort there. And so it sounds really interesting, dude. And the tagline here says, "Don't upset the balance." Which kind of breaks my heart, but Takumi and his daughter Hana live in a Mizubuki village close to Tokyo. One day the village inhabitants become aware of a plan to build a camping site near Takumi's house, offering city residents a comfortable escape to nature. Why would you want to escape nature? Lame. I don't know.
I want to be there forever. I know I went to the, where was it, to Yosemite this year, and I was just like, I don't want to leave.
I could stay here.
Yeah, I was like, there's just a patch of grass, I'll have that, that's enough. Bear can eat me, it's all good. It's all good. But what are some of the things in this film that stood out to you? Like I said, obviously, you mentioned it's quite artsy, so we're talking like cinematography-wise, like, is it pretty to look at?
It's pretty to look at. Every movie that's on this list that I'll talk about is pretty to look at because it's real movies made by real people. So it looks gorgeous. It feels gorgeous. Every shot is deliberate. It's concentrated. It's a lot of nature. It's a lot of, I guess, the artsy-fartsiness kind of comes from it breaks convention. You know, you don't expect a 5-minute continuous shot of the forest at the start of your film. You don't expect those kind of things where there's just a heavy lingering on nature.
Yeah.
And the appreciation of the natural world. But it's stuff that when you really unpack the language of what's being said to you, you're like, oh, I see exactly what you're telling me. I completely get it. The movie's also funny when it wants to be, not in a comedic way, but in like a witty way, very clever way. And it's, the guy came up before the movie started and he was hyping it up and he prepped. He's like, he said something. He's like, oh, and get ready for that ending. And I'm like, oh, don't say that because then you're priming me. I don't want to get primed. Yeah, that ending, man. Oh, buddy.
Bro, you're priming me. I don't want to be primed. I'm skipping through the trailer a little bit here, and one thing that sticks out to me is the color grade. Like it's stunning. And yeah, some of these choices of shots, like I'm looking at this one where you got the mountain in the background, and they're kind of just driving towards the screen, and then there's these little shots in there that just, like you said, linger on just nature. Like it's just a shot of a bunch of rocks and water coming through it. It's beautiful. But yeah, in particular, like, yeah, the contrast is beautiful. Like I said, this grade, you've got these guys in these orange jackets that just stick out. And it's stunning. It's really pretty to look at, dude.
Yeah, it's outstanding. And all the acting in this movie is incredible as well. There's a good, when they first kind of meet the residents and they want to like chat about what's going on, there's like a 20-minute, kind of like a community hall scene where they're kind of like pitching them on the plan and going back and forth and everyone's adding their input and like rebutting and commenting. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so engaged. That could have been the whole movie and I would have loved it. It's like, there was like 20 minutes of 12 angry men. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. I'll gladly watch that.
Yeah. I love it. It sounds like a really great one to start off your film festival with. Like it would have really set the tone. Like your first film festival, you get in, you watch that movie and it's just like, all right, let's go. Yeah. I can watch stuff like this. Yeah, absolutely. And next up, you had The Beast, right? Now, did you do these ones back to back the first night, or was it one night?
No, it wasn't back to back. Thank God it wasn't back to back. The Beast I did watch very late. That was like a 9 p.m. showing. Mm-hmm. Was late, and this is a long ass movie as well. Not holding it back. It's like 220 maybe.
Yeah, looks like
Yeah, it was a long one.
4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah,
or at least square anyway. Sometimes.
Ooh, whoa.
I love me some symmetry, bro.
Yeah. So The Beast is interesting. It's set in the future, and basically it's interesting commentary on AI as well, I guess. But it's set in the future, and if you want to achieve a high-ranking job, what they do is they put you in a machine, and they go through your DNA. And it kind of blends into that idea of like learned memory in your DNA. And they go and purge out all the genetic memory and all the emotions so you can function at your job at like a more efficient level.
Damn.
And what happens to the main character is that she finds she's living 3 lives. She has 3 lives. So her current life, I believe like 2010s, and her ancestor in like the 1800s, right? And in each of these lives, she ends up meeting this gentleman who she becomes entangled with in some way. Again, that's kind of like Assassin's Creed in the way that they're hopping through the different time periods, but their ancestors keep bumping into each other and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So as she's journeying, and it jumps around time as well, so you really have to stay locked into what's going on. But as she's journeying through time, kind of figuring it out, wrestling with the past and the future, she kind of starts to unravel the mystery that's set before her. And the opening scene sets an even greater mystery. Everything is ambiguous, everything is interpreted in this movie. And she's trying to figure it out, you're trying to figure it out too. And it gets to the punchline at the end, and you're like, got it, I get what you're saying. It was very hard to watch, not in a shock way, but it was a very complex, very dense, very rich film. I believe might have been a French director. A majority of the film is in English, though. It is parts in French, so it should be pretty easy to follow. But it is a complex watch. It is a meaty boy.
Yeah, the original title of the film is in French, I believe.
La Bête. Yeah, La Bête.
And yeah, you've got here, it says exactly as you said, in the near future where emotions have become a threat, Gabrielle finally decides to purify her DNA in a machine that will immerse her in her past lives and rid her of any strong feelings. She then meets Lewis and feels a powerful connection as if she had known him forever. And this one is a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so very well liked. And on the back of 47,000 rating, 511 people have it as one of their top 4 films, which is mental.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, written and directed by Bertrand Bonello. Writers also include Benjamin Charbit and Guillaume Brod. Sorry, and it says the original writer is Henry James. So I'm not sure if it's based off a book or whether it was a script that was then sort of retouched. But it also is another one that looks stunning. Again, I was just skimming through the trailer a little bit here, and yeah, you can see that it's in some aspects widescreen and some aspects a little bit of a taller aspect ratio, which is really nice. Oh my god, I just saw her there in front of a green screen. They're gonna make great TikToks out of those. She had some of the best little cameo in Dune Part 2 as well, just like
a little bit of bag chasing.
So good.
Let's just say every time period in this movie has its own flavor. We'll say that.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And George McKay has been doing a lot more stuff recently. So first time I saw him was 1917. I watched another film with him in it that came out this year, which is called Femme. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
I've heard of him, Femme. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's got a really interesting character in that film as well. And yeah, that one's wild. That was a really good one from this year. But yeah, this is another one that I have on my list and I've been really, really keen to watch. Oh my goodness. This stuff is wild.
It's a wild movie, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. I can't describe too much without spoiling. I don't want to spoil, but there's, oh man, it juggles tone and it juggles genre in so many ways, so many times. It's you're watching almost a new film every 30 minutes. It's something else. It's an experience. Yeah, we're rocking
a 146-minute runtime. This one is actually available to stream in most places now. So if it's not in a theater, go in and get on it. But it's another one.
Where can you find it? Is it on Amazon? Where is it?
Let's have a look. So if you're in Australia, it's available to rent and buy across most of the main platforms. In New Zealand, it's available on Apple TV and Google Play to rent and buy. And in the States, where are we? USA. Same deal. Yeah, so rent and buy Apple TV, Amazon. So it's pretty easy. And yeah, so really, really accessible. So definitely go and check that one out because that one sounds awesome. And I think also to what we were kind of joking about earlier, you talk about these original films, and like you said, yeah, maybe there's aspects that feel a little like the Assassin's Creed part of it, but it does seem like a really unique take on these kinds of stories. This is actually kind of what I expected Past Lives to be when I went in to sit and watch that. I thought it was going to be
Assassin's
people,
Creed.
Not quite Assassin's Creed, but people who are the same and kind of, repeating in different lives. I thought it was going to take place in different time periods. I didn't realize that it would be in different symbolic time periods of one's life, and it would break my heart to smithereens.
Yeah, it's interesting. This movie deals a lot with that kind of that aspect of, how people go through things and how people deal with things, especially in the future sequences when, again, memory, genetic memory and emotion is kind of all but lost. There's a really incredible bit that I love that they kept doing throughout the film where Gabrielle will go to nightclubs to kind of just, get rid of the noise and whatever. And every nightclub in the film is themed after a different era. So one night she goes to a bar called 1970s and one bar that she goes to 1980s and 1990s. And the idea that we find comfort in nostalgia because sometimes we're so emotionally dissonant that we cling on to good thing. It's a very interesting exploration of that human necessity to have emotions and to have, that kind of connection that we all crave.
Yeah, absolutely.
And without going into too much, the beast in question of this film it's an ambiguous. What is the beast? What is the beast in question? And when you come to the ending of that film, you might come to a different conclusion than myself because it's open ended.
It's actually I was going to ask you that question too because I was based on what you've explained about the film, the title doesn't seem like it makes sense for the film.
Exactly.
But I imagine that is at the core of this one, and yeah. Like I remember you telling me a little bit about it after you
yeah.
watched. I was like, man, yeah, I want to see that. But yeah, it's been a while, a couple of weeks for me, so I haven't gotten to it yet. But it's sitting there. She's waiting.
By the
for
final
me.
shot, you will understand who the beast is. I'll say that.
Pumped. That sounds sick. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
And so from there, you moved into Problemista. And this one I have seen, so I can talk to a little bit as well. But
yeah,
tell me. So you said this is like your second favorite film of the year, yeah?
Oh, without a doubt. It is the crowd pleaser of the year, in my opinion. I think
what was your cinema like?
This.
I got to watch this one because it was available to stream while I was in the States. Yeah. So I got to check it out then. I didn't get a theater watch. So
oh man,
what was that like?
Oh man, it was packed. It was full. We laughed together. We cried together. By the end of the movie, we cheered together. Again, it was a Marvel movie. I shit you not, it was a Marvel movie by the end. This, again, no spoilers, the scene where he confronts the individual in the boardroom and calls them out. Genuine, like the video, the No Way Home screening where the guy does a backflip when Andrew Garfield like hops out of the portal. That the kind of people were like hollering. It was such a crowd pleaser. It was such a great time. I didn't know what to expect. I walked away loving it. I had joyous tears in my eyes. I feel them coming now. It was such a great experience. It was so much fun. It's an ode to eccentric dreamers. Mm-hmm. It's a story for anyone that's had an idea, big or small, dumb or brilliant. It's just such a hug of a film. It's really something else. It's if I could take anyone and make them watch one movie from this, it would be that movie. Yeah, it would be that movie. I think it has broad appeal. It's very everything everywhere in energy, which I think is why people would like it. Yeah, that's what I say.
Exactly right. And even from like the poster is such like this wacky little thing. You're kind of unsure of what you're going to get. And we're starting Tilda Swinton as well, and she is
best supporting actress, please.
I love her. It actually, for me, was almost a bit of like PTSD because in my like day job, her and what he experiences with her is a lot of what I've experienced over the last decade in what I've been doing. So like I'm watching it and going to work and being like, guys, I want you to watch this film, but like I'm scared it's going to be like, you know?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, but it's about Alejandro, who's an aspiring toy designer from El Salvador. Yeah, boy! And is struggling to bring his unusual ideas to life in New York City. And as his time on his work visa runs out, a job assisting an erratic art world outcast becomes his only hope to stay in the country and realize his dream. So it's written, directed, and starring Julio Torres, who is on SNL, who I believe, if you guys want to know kind of the vibe that you're going to find in this film, he was one of, if not the main writer for what's it called? The skit with Ryan Gosling on Avatar, Papyrus. It's like the font, Papyrus. A brilliant skit. They've got two parts of it that are amazing, and it's hilarious. And yeah, so he's gone off and made his own movie. This is his directorial debut and writing debut, I believe, as a film.
Yeah, everything debut. Yeah.
He has absolutely killed it. And yeah, it is this. Again, we're talking about unique films. Like I've not seen anything like this.
Yeah.
Like ever. It's almost a bit of a Willy Wonka type film, you know, that kind of wackiness, and down to even how the characters act and walk. Like Julio's got this like walk cycle to him, you know what I mean? Where it's very bouncy and he walks like this everywhere he goes. It's like not how real people walk. It's otherworldly. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love how so much of the film is basically it's just about his dream. Like that's all. And the means through which not just his dream, but other people bring other people's dreams to life. Like one of the main like story beats is around Tilda Swinton's partner is in like cryo freezing to come back later because he got really sick. And he has these 12 eggs and they're just trying to chase down the eggs so they can put them in a gallery. And that's all that's happening through a lot of the film. But yeah, there are all these interesting moments throughout the film where, and how they tell the story in particular. Like I know when he goes into the Craigslist section, he's like, I need to make money and I'm going to get in there. And he's trying to find all the different ways to make money. And you kind of turn around and like the Craigslist demon is there going, come here, I'll show you how you can make a quick buck. And yeah, like there are moments in the film that get like really dark, you know, like it takes him to a really dark place and kind of having to crawl out of that. And so I can imagine that by the time we get to those big moments towards the end of the film, it does feel like such a sense of relief, like having watched this underdog struggle and struggle and struggle, and it's just made it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. It's really, oh, man, I'm speechless. It's unique. It's solely unique. It's wholly realized. It's a one of a kind of experience, and I think it's relatable for anyone, no matter what you're going through. Even more so for immigrants, even more so for dreamers. It's an infinitely relatable movie. It's wickedly creative, wickedly entertaining. You have to buy into what you're watching, though. And I think one of the genius things about the movie is kind of spoiler territory, but the whole cryo freeze thing, you're kind of judging the whole movie. You're like, this cryo freeze doesn't fucking work. Like, that's not how it works. And then you come to learn, actually, like, you are kind of the problem. The movie is about eccentric dreamers. Like, dream that and believe that this cryo freeze is going to work. You know, you have to buy into it. And it challenges you as an individual to kind of take the adults out of your brain for a bit and kind of just remember when you just used to dream, when you used to wake up and be like, I'm going to do that today.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Nah, we're going to do it. I had this girl come into work today. She was buying a toy, and then she wanted me to help put like the batteries in, so I was unscrewing the back. I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with it? Like, when you can play with it? She's like, I don't know, but I think it'll be fun. And I'm like, that's it, man. Just dream. Just do cool shit. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just buy into the like notion of this anything being possible and everything being fun, no matter like who tells you it can't be fun. Like when people tell you the consequence of things, screw the consequences.
I saw someone explain it like, if you really want to embrace your most authentic self and live the most like fulfilling life, you have to recognize that your most authentic self is your cringiest self. And like the that's cringy, I don't want to do that, is the barrier to the authentic life. And I was like, whoa, damn.
True. Kill the part of you that cringes, not the cringe itself.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah. It's like that cringe is the externally applied pressure that tells you can't do that. That's weird. It's wild.
Exactly.
And I think that this film is like a masterclass in that happening, you know? Like this guy's, I could imagine a studio exec being like, bro, what? Make a movie about a toy maker? What? No, get out of here. It's got a crazy, no. Eggs, get out of here. But he's done it. He's put it together and
it's amazing.
Yeah. I was looking at its Letterboxd as well, and it's got a 3.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. This is the highest rated of the 3 you've seen so far. 952 people have it as one of their top 4 on Letterboxd. Now we said, written and directed and starring Julio Torres as well as Tilda Swinton. Where are we? What else we got here? Cinematography by Frederick Wenzel. And where was I? Yeah, the main ones that stick out to me. I mean, art direction in this film is fantastic as well. So production design by Katie Byron, with art direction by Jasmine Cho, Grant M. Williams, and Ada Keller. So yeah, like he's put together a brilliant film here. This is one of my favorites of the year as well. So I can absolutely see why it's yours, or one of yours. But following Problemista, you had Cuckoo.
Yes.
And this is a horror film with Hunter Schafer.
Yeah, it is a horror film, I guess.
This one is another one that I've seen as well. I was drawn to it for the exact same reason you were. I love Hunter Schafer, and I want to see everything that she does. And I had a great time with this one. I know from yourself, this wasn't one of your favorites that you saw at the festival. Is that right?
No, it was my least favorite. I was a bit let down. I was a bit let down by this one. It was not as consistent in tone as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't, some parts stretched more than others, and I was just like, I wasn't really caught up into the whole rigmarole of it all. It's still great performances from the cast, and there's still some juice there, but it feels, it needed more time in the oven. I don't feel like it's fully realized itself. Yeah, but it was a good time.
No, I can understand that. I think we do have some performances here that are like absolutely great. Like everyone is in on the bit. I actually showed my friend that we were hanging out last night. I showed him the trailer for this film because like I want you to watch it, dude. And we got up to the part in the trailer which I hadn't seen this before watching the review, but I knew what was coming. And she's riding her bike at night, and I was like, all right, we're done with the trailer. If you're not sold, go, because that moment in the theater was actually one of the greatest things I've seen like ever. I don't watch lots of horror films, but just the composition of all of the shots coming into that moment, the payoff was spectacular. And my theater, like I could feel, we were in the what's called the Astor Theatre in Melbourne, which is a really old theater, and you felt all the seats kind of move. Everyone had that kind of moment, and I was like, oh wow, like yeah, that was really cool. And the other thing that I really liked was the use of visual effects in that kind of time loop thing that these guys get stuck in. I thought that was really you've ever been stuck in a time loop before, guys? Very realistic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always stuck in the time loop. I work a 9 to 5. Like, come on.
Yeah. But the tagline for this film is "Fear Its Call." After reluctantly moving to the German Alps with her father and his new family, Gretchen discovers that their new town hides sinister secrets, and as she's plagued by strange noises and frightening visions of a woman pursuing her. This one is a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. 239 people as its top 4 films. And this one is also available to stream now, essentially on everything. So really easy to find. We didn't see for the last couple. Problemista is available to stream, and Evil's Not Exist is available as well. But I always use Letterboxd to tell me where to watch stuff now. And if you're an iPhone user, the Apple TV app is actually linked to all the streaming services as well. So if you go on Apple TV and then search a movie, it'll either say buy, rent, or open in, and you can just open it in whatever apps you have, which is a fantastic feature to have on your phone. But yeah, it stars Hunter Schafer, Jan Bluthart, Martin Sokas, Jessica Henwick, Dan Stevens. And yeah, also I think one of the things I loved about this film is it felt at times like there was all this homage in it. Like I was like, there's all these moments that I'm like, I've seen that before, and doesn't feel like a direct like copy, but there's in the final act, it very much reminded me of Spielberg's Jurassic Park, where the kids are hiding from the raptors. I was like, almost like shot for shot, there are bits like hiding and using the reflection to. Yeah. I was like, these little things that just had me going, yep. I know that part.
Yeah.
And so those little moments throughout the film that kind of kept me excited. But I thought visually really interesting, some pretty cool performances. It landed for me. It wasn't my favorite of everything that I watched. I watched like quite a few films as well. But yeah, like I don't think that there was anything. There's only really one film that I saw at my festival that I didn't really vibe with. And this one, while it wasn't one of my favorites, I was like, it's solid, it's fun. It maybe sets the tone for it's going to be a little scarier than it is.
Yeah.
So it almost like starts kind of high, and you get like a lot of tension. And then once those first moments split, it kind of, like you said, I think it ebbs and flows a little bit. It comes back in and it disappears. And there's a couple of scenes, like with the main, like it's a creature horror essentially. Like, and when that creature is around, I think it works. And when it's not around, there's not as much going on. You know, like the mystery of it's not as exciting.
It's a very interesting creature as well. I like it. I think there's a lot of good horror monsters that have come out of this generation of horror. It's not going to be one of them, but it's a very unique kind of creature concept that they were dealing with there. The whole mythology around it is really cool. I think with horror, like you'd be remiss to say that you're not half sold because of the creature itself. That's one of the most important parts. So it was very decent. It was a decent little. It was a good try. It was a good try. I can't fault for that. But I'm old and grumpy, so go check it out for yourself. Maybe you'll enjoy it more. I have seen so much horror. I've been desensitized to many a thing. Maybe it'll be super scary for you. So give it a go, and you should be supporting Hunter Schafer anyway. So.
Nice, yeah. No, I know. Like I've not done a lot of horror in my days, and my friend who I went and watched all these films with is like very anti-horror. And I was like, hey, we're going to watch this film, and like I kind of knew it was going to be scary, but I kind of forgot that he's not a scary movie person. And so his reaction sitting next to me of like whispering to me, why have you brought me here? What have you done? I was like, I'm having fun. But yeah, definitely like, a good one to check out, an interesting one. And yeah, it's nice to see Hunter Schafer getting more and more work because she's fantastic. Next up we had Grand Theft Hamlet. So directed by Pinny, Grylls, and Sam Crane. Another one that you'd recommended to us on the podcast, as we said earlier. I didn't get to check this one out. We did chat a little bit after you'd watched it, but like...
We did, yeah.
Tell me.
Dude, I'm sat forward. I'm here. It's such a fun time. The film is the documentary behind the making of it. So it's not... You see portions of the play themselves, but it's more so the putting it together. I think for me, I have a very difficult relationship with documentary and biography because, again, it's all scripted. It's all cherry-picked. It's not that true, authentic experience.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of need to surrender yourself and buy into the fact that you are seeing a composed portion of the truth, not the actual truth. Not to say that what they didn't accomplish was not true. It happened.
Yeah.
We do see it. There's obviously parts that are dramatized, but beyond that, it is a remarkable achievement to pull off. To recreate the entirety of Hamlet in Grand Theft Auto online is a very, it's a crazy thing. They got
Machinima is like not been around for ages. Like I can't remember the last thing that I'd seen that's like this.
Exactly, and they got a certificate for it from the Royal Shakespeare Academy. The first people to create a Shakespeare in a video game. And then if you're a video game fan, it's amazing as well because all the logistics of it. They're like, okay, well, we want to create Shakespeare in an online world. We need to host auditions. We need to find people that want to do this. And some people commit and they have to drop out, and other people, they're not able to do it. And then they realize as they're traveling through GTA Online, they're like, okay, well, it's GTA. People are going to come up to us with rocket launchers and blow us up all the time. We need to hire security so that when we do this online, they can kill all the people trying to kill us. So there's the fun ebb and flow of logistics as they try to really corral the troops to make this thing. It's such a fun watch. If you've ever been like me who grew up playing video games or watching YouTubers play video games, you'll get a kick out of this. If you've ever had gaming nights with the boys, you'll have a kick out of this. It's just such a fun and endearing testament to the perseverance of art in a crisis, especially since this was made during the lockdowns, during the COVID lockdowns, when all these people, they had their, their jobs are in jeopardy. They don't know if the medium that we're working in was going to be a thing by the time they woke up the next morning. So it really is, it's a testament to the fact that art will continue if you have people pioneering it to go forward in different directions. It's such a fun time. It's a blast. I really hope this gets, and maybe you can correct me on the letterbox, I hope this gets a wider release, be it on streaming.
It's at the moment not available to watch anywhere else.
That's the bummer.
It's got 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd. You've got 2 people that have it as their one of their 4 favorites, which is amazing. It's interesting you say that it was a documentary about the making of, because I thought that it was going to be like Hamlet in Grand Theft Auto.
That's what I thought as well.
And I'm curious, where did they actually show this? Was it just they just did it for themselves? They didn't.
They performed it and they put out an invite on, I think, on some forums that you could come and watch it if you wanted to. But it's 2 people that made this movie, and I forget the lady's name, but it was a guy who I believe is a British actor. I think he was I could be wrong, but I think he was Harry Potter in the Cursed Child stage play. I think that's the guy. And his wife is a documentary maker by trade. So he thought it'd be funny, and just because they were all at home, to get her to kind of just document the process of them making this, just because they had the time. Again,
absolutely.
It's the Problemista effect. It's just have fun. So they had the time, and then I believe they put some stuff out on forums. They're like, hey, you can come and watch this. We're going to be doing this. They went around to some people online, and they're like, hey, we're doing this. You can come watch as well. It'll be here. And then at the final 20 minutes of the movie, you do see them pulling it off, and you do see they have an audience, and they need to figure out how to get from A to B. So they're like, okay, well, at this point, we'll get everyone to stand on the blimp, and then the blimp will drive them to the next scene. So they orchestrate it, and you get to see it happen. You don't get to watch, this movie isn't an hour, 30 minutes of the entire play, but it's more so the construction of it and how they managed to pull it off.
Yeah. I really would be interested to see the film from start to finish as well.
Same.
But I think in documentary form, it seems like it'll work as well, because I think that there is a lot of, you'd watch it, and you'd want to know the logistics behind it. But it is cool. Like you said, it's something that came out during, that they started putting together during the pandemic. These guys just weren't working, and they're like, we got to do something. Let's make art And it's again a very unique piece of art as well, which is so cool. So yeah, it's on my list. I haven't checked it out yet. Your next film though was also a documentary, and this one I did get to see after you spoke about it. So directed by Benjamin Ree. This is The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. This one's heavy.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. This was a heavy movie. First of all, it is the people in it they are Norwegian, but the majority of the documentary is in English. So it is easily accessible for people who struggle with subtitle barriers and stuff. You should be able to jump into it pretty fine.
And I believe it's coming to Netflix soon. When I watched it, it had a Netflix banner at the start, but I don't know when it's actually coming out on Netflix.
Mark of the Demon. Yeah, the Netflix banner is the Mark of the Demon. But it is, it should be coming around October, November. This one was heavy, man. I think for Naf and I, we've known each other. We met at Star Wars Celebration 2023, but we've maintained a friendship through just texting and doing all this stuff. And we had the luxury of meeting again this year. So if you're someone who's had like that online connection, you know what your parents said, don't make friends with strangers online.
Yeah.
If you broke that rule and it's been to your benefit and you've got to experience that, then this movie will speak to you. It's the testament of online community and kinship and building barriers. Not building barriers, breaking down barriers and building bonds across cyberspace is a new realm that we can explore and be friends. And this guy who's lost all motor function, all he wanted to do was journal and play games, and he passed away and his parents were devastated. And then all of a sudden they got a bajillion messages from all the people he met and all the people he played games with about, hey, your son was so amazing. He was the nicest guy. He helped me through this. He helped me through that. It was heavy. I remember the part of the film that got to me the most, again, this guy has no motor function, was one of the people that he would play with. And they said that every day he played the game, he ran for 30 minutes straight on the same path every single day. And I was like fuck, man, that's heavy stuff to think about, the connotations behind all of that. And the fact that with this game, because World of Warcraft, which is the game they play, they have all the chat logs, they have all the history of where every character has been. They could basically recreate his life for the past however many years he played the game. It is a remarkable feat. It's a one-of-a-kind feat. You'll never see a movie like this again. It'll never happen again.
I like the film opens with that explanation too, where they go, hey, like, we have all the chat logs, we have like geological in-game data, we have the assets from the game, and we've just put all of that into Unreal Engine and recreated it and then added voice actors. And they picked a voice actor that sounds similar to how he sounded. It's beautiful. There were these moments within the film as well where they have all of this like beautiful behind the scenes footage of him playing the game. And I remember sitting there going like, have they got like an actor like recreating this? And then like kind of towards the end, they talk about how he made a whole documentary about like peripherals for people with disabilities that his parents didn't even know that he'd like start and help put that stuff together. And like there's so much now that exists so that games can be accessible for differently abled people as well. It's a wild thing seeing a lot of the games that come out that have so many more features and accessibility for like you name it, down to like if you're unable to see or you can't differentiate colors or special controls, they have something for seemingly everyone. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it is beautiful that I think video games are something that can be so accessible to so many people of, like I said, so many different kinds of lives. And I think that by the time the film is wrapping up and we see like the funeral, that sent me. You feel like the people that are there, and we get a speech from the leader of the clan, and I was just like,
man, it's a heavy one.
I think throughout as well, there's parts of it that are so astoundingly uplifting, like you said, like that sense of community. And then there's also this sense of heartbreak in which this person also didn't feel like they could be fully a part of the community. And it kind of toys with those ideas a little bit. It's a little heartbreaking that, people after he passed away realized kind of why he kept himself apart from the community, and every single one of them is like, it wouldn't have mattered to us, you know, like we loved him, and that's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I appreciated that earnesty as well. There's and maybe this is again like I struggle with documentary and biography, but one of the things I appreciate with this is that they show they don't aggrandize him. They don't aggrandize him. It's not, oh, look at this poor handicapped kid in his wheelchair. Let's make a documentary about how he's the greatest dude of all time. They're like, no, sometimes he got really angry, and sometimes he got bitter, and sometimes he was depressed, and sometimes he lashed out at people. It is a very human and very authentic way, and they could have easily just cheaped out and made it the one big soft story. But like, no, there's actually times in the movie where you're like, dude, why are you being such an asshole? Like, like, get over yourself. And you're just like, oh yeah, you good. You're treating him like a normal human being.
Yeah,
you're not treating. Well, I mean, probably my phrasing was a bit off there, but you're treating him like a person. You're not treating him like an ideal, or you're not treating him like something that's like, oh, you're not coddling him. You're like, yeah, this amazing person was amazing and inspiring, and also sometimes a bit of an arsehole, sometimes mean, and had bad moods and had good days and bad days. It's a very earnest story, and I appreciate that. It made the work.
One of the beautiful things that I really liked in the film was hearing his dad say, you know, there were so many things that broke my heart that Mats was never going to get to experience in his life. And I was always I think he was a little disappointed that Mats had chosen to play video games instead of like connecting with like real people, you know? And then it's like through the community, he learned that the kind of work that he did and how many friends that he did, and he was a bit of a womanizer and like all these kinds of things that he was just like, oh, my kid's never going to be able to have anything like this. And yeah, I think it's just... I think it's a beautiful kind of story for us too that grew up in the generation with the similar parents to Matt's that were like, this isn't a world that is real, you know? And I think that, like you said, now having lots of friendships that exist like intercontinentally, and particularly like some of the people that I find like that I'm closest with, the people that I love most in the world, like you being one of them, like we're in completely different countries, and these kinds of games and the connections and relationships that these people built together like paved the way for what I get to experience in my day-to-day life now, and it's beautiful. Like, it's a very emotional film, a very real film, very beautiful, and yeah, definitely something that people should watch when it drops on Netflix later this year.
Please, yes.
Yeah. And then coming into the last few that you've got here, we've got Didi. Didi. Now that's not P. Diddy, though I'm sure there'll be a movie or documentary on that soon.
I've seen it already.
For anyone who's ever been a teenager, one of the things that I loved about this, you said earlier, there are so many coming of age films for kids in the 90s and the 80s, and they're kind of fun to watch. I hadn't really seen one from like my childhood down to like, and my entire cinema was filled with millennials, and there are these moments where he's talking on AOL with this girl, and there's like this little embarrassing moment they're trying to kind of talk through, and he goes to write something really like earnest and real, and then just like right click block instead, and then never talk again. And I shit you not, my entire fucking theater was like, oh, we all were like, yeah, we've been there. This shit was too real, bro.
It was a good one. Again, like you said, it's nice to see something in 2008, like all the quirks and the isms there, all like the neon colored braces, everyone on like MySpace, the AOL chats, that one of his buddies is like, oh, check out this cool streaming site Meatspin, and I'm like, I know what Meatspin is. I clicked on Meatspin before. Like, that's cool, man. Like, I feel seen. I feel validated. I look forward to when they make a movie like this about the 2010s, because I grew up in those too. So yeah, it was good. It's a very simple movie. I think if you're coming here looking for something deeply complex and deeply moving, you will find it, but it's not going to be like, it's not got layers and layers of subtext. It's a coming of age movie about this kid who has to come of age and endure trials and tribulations, but it's got a very unique flavor to it, a very unique perspective. There's obviously stuff that I won't be too privy to, because there's definitely an Asian lens over this film, and being an Asian kid growing up in America at that time. A very prominent line in my mind is always when he's talking to the crush, and she's like, "Oh, you're pretty cute for an Asian guy." I'm like, "Fuck me, that's a crazy thing to say." And my whole theater, like, it was pretty packed. As my whole theater was like, "Oh,
Yeah, ew.
and I was like, "Yeah, like, ick,
Yeah.
like big ick, like." Oh. And then the whole family dynamic there. His mom is obviously pressured, in her the Asian wives circle. Everyone's like, "Oh, my son's got this and my son's got that, and he's studying this." And she's like, "I don't really know my son or get on well with him, and he's very distant, and he does cool millennial things like filming skateboard trick videos and putting them on YouTube. Not really stuff that's going to get him like a job or anything." So it's a wonderful like disconnect of like, as we're pivoting into like a new millennium and a new age and a new technological era. Again, the clash of old generations and young generations. How do we marry that? How do we navigate that? Not a spoiler. I also like how this movie doesn't really have a happy or sad ending. It just has an ending.
Yeah,
I like that too.
I was really taken by one key aspect of the film and this character, and I wrote it in my Letterboxd review. So if you'll permit me, I'll read to you what I wrote.
Go for it.
I wrote, you ever think about how like you shred and hide every piece of your personality to suit others and feel like you're a part of something, but you wind up even more and more confused about who you actually are, since now you're just a collection of all the things you assumed everybody else wanted you to be and spent no time unpacking the truth about who you actually are? No? Yeah, me neither.
Fair.
It's like, I think as he tries to hang out with some of those kids a little older than him and start to skateboard, and like there's the movie Mid-90s, which has some similar themes.
One of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah,
so cool. And it's like, I love how he gets home and he thinks that what the people older than him do and what makes them cool is they don't care about anything. And there's this moment where his mum walks in and he's like, "Go away, mum," like blah blah, and they just look at him like, "You speak to your mum like that?"
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you, dude? It like takes all the wind out of, like, you think he's gonna get in with them again, like, yeah, sick. And I love how they're just like, I love your art. It's amazing. And he's like, "I don't care about your art. Shut up, mum." And there's this beautiful like B plot that involves the mum and trying to get art into a show that's like kind of heartbreaking too.
Yeah.
And it just happens so kind of quietly and subtly in the background, and yeah, it breaks my heart. Mums. Yeah, and I love the use of like animation in this film as well, particularly in all those online sequences. The stuff that they put together there is what's the word? Like it's so like engaging and alive, It's like watching a highly produced like YouTube video where it's got just the best B-roll, and it works so well. I loved this one, and this theater for me was packed and everyone was laughing and having a great time. So this is one of my favorites that I got to see as well. There's another film that deals with some similar stuff like this that came out last year, I believe, called Rice Boy Sleeps. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
You got to see that one?
It was a great movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. It feels almost like the next stage of life from here. Here you have like coming of age into like high school, and then that kid's kind of coming out and mum's sick, and
Didi too. Didi too.
Yeah.
Didi
Electric Boogaloo.
Exactly that.
I'm sorry. And then we have I Saw the TV Glow. So this is your favorite film of the year.
Yep.
Tell me everything, baby boy.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, I was sold because it's a horror movie, and I love horror movies. I think horror is the most versatile genre that you can do. I think it's the most difficult genre to achieve. I think it's the one that requires tremendous talent to pull off and achieve. Yeah, man. So on the premise of horror alone, I was locked into watching this. I did not expect this movie to hit as hard as it did. There's a queer angle to this movie. There's definitely Jane, the way they directed this movie. Gosh, let me get the name. I do not want to butcher their name because they deserve to have their name in lights after this movie. Jane Schoenbrun. Jane Schoenbrun. There you go. Your name will be in lights because this was something else. The way they constructed this movie, there's a queer angle and a queer perspective about, not really understanding yourself and your identity and your sexuality and the consequences of that coming too late. and what that can do to you, the dissociating aspect of it. That's the part I'll never truly understand as a straight person. But what I think and what I like about this movie and the way that I read it as well, there's also a universal element to it. I think anyone, you don't have to relate to all the transgender elements or the other queer elements, but you can relate to wasted potential and wasted opportunity. You have an opportunity to do something, and then down the line you're like, oh man, why did I do that? And like it gnaws away with you. You didn't talk to the cute girl, you didn't go on the big trip, you didn't do that, and it just eats away at you.
Yeah.
So dealing with the kind of themes like that in this movie is just, it was relevant and raw and real. The horror element as well, the way it kind of plays. These two individuals, Owen and Maddie, are fixated and they bond over this show, The Pink Opaque, which is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the 90s Goosebumps show. It's like this cheesy, corny, shitty little show that they connect over. And they see something in it that no one else sees. They see this whole world of this reality, and as they separate and reunite, what that means to them, the truth of it all. It's amazing. I don't want to spoil it because I do think you should watch it. It spoils it in the trailer. I don't think you should watch the trailer. I think the twist when it happens in the movie is insanely cool, and you should experience it there, not in the trailer. But navigating the idea of not knowing yourself and not knowing who you are and embracing who you are and feeling trapped in a body that isn't yours, in a reality that isn't yours. The queer experience of that kind of like body dysphoria and that like loss of identity explored through the lens of a horror is very genius to me. That is, it's like such a surefire hit, but no one's done it before. But Jane, the way they accomplished it, it's outstanding. It's a remarkable movie. And I must point out the score for this movie. They commissioned some of their favorite artists to make original music for this movie. So every song is unique and it feels very tailored to the journey of this character of Owen. And I have almost every song on my Spotify still playing to this day from when I saw this movie in April for the first time.
It has artists in it that like I love already. Like it's got music by Phoebe Bridgers in there. And then they're one of my favorite artists working right now. They write very NAFcore music, and also starring Justice Smith, who has such immense range too, and it kind of is showcased in this film. Like I've seen him in a few things now, and here in particular is where like he really got to shine. That he has these like the way that he's able to act with his facial expression, with his eyes in particular, it is so beautiful and so like captivating, and you feel everything he's feeling. And the final shots of this movie are like devastating in a way that like I rewatched the second half of the film afterwards again, just to like re-lock into it, and like I finished it and I was like, this is great. And then literally the next day I woke up and I was like, I want to see all that end again. I want to see all of it ramp up together and get to that point again. And both times it was phenomenal. And I think also packaged so beautifully for us to appreciate visually. You know, like it's really hard to not like that neon aesthetic, you know, like that kind of like Miami Vice type pink and blue, and you know, the colors that I got right here. The bi flag is the prettiest flag. It just
very
is.
deliberate,
No hate to any other flags, but it's a fantastic movie. 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Runtime of 100 minutes. As Tate likes to call it, it's a tight 90. Including credits. 11,000 people have this one on their top 4. Nearly 400,000 watches, 137,000 likes. It's doing really well, this one. Most of the people that I've got in my like friends on Letterboxd have rated it like incredibly high or written glowing reviews for it. And it's fantastic. A really easy one to recommend to anyone.
It's most people, the thing is they will get put off because it's a horror movie, or they're gonna get put off because woke or whatever the reason they want to come up with. But it really is. I think you will get the most bang for your buck watching it. And again, I watched it at this festival for the second time because I wanted to see it in a big theater, and it was such a great experience to see it like that. It was interesting. Some people were laughing at scenes that I didn't really expect people to laugh at. Some people were very disturbed by scenes that I wanted people to be disturbed by. So it was an interesting experience to see how other people kind of connected to it as well. And again, laughter is also like the way that some people deal with like moments, and there's a lot of those in this movie. So it was a good one.
I think that the film is it toes the line in that sort of discomfort a little bit more than actual like fear. I think, like you were saying before, like horror is so diverse, and like as a genre, it's almost like all these subgenres of horror. And lately, so many things that I've watched that have had horror as their genre, I've been like, I'm not scared here. I'm like interested, and it's almost like the tension is what grips you to the story in a way that you know, like your generic action film won't do. You know, like good action, very different. But I'm talking about, you know, like we were saying earlier, the MCU-y stuff and those kinds of things are just kind of samey.
Yeah, like
we need more horror. Something about that tension just makes it spicy. There's a review here which is really funny by someone called BB on Letterboxd. So shout out to BB on Letterboxd. It says this is Donnie Darko for they thems.
It's as confusing as Donnie Darko is. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much for sure. But again, it's confusing, but I think you can definitely figure it out by the end of it. But what you want to make of that ending is completely up to you. I saw Jane posted their take on the ending scene as well, and I was like, oh, I didn't read it like that at all. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't see it as a happy, optimistic ending. Oh, interesting. And then there's so much you can chew from there. But again, I love surrealist, absurdist stuff. I love being confused and trying to figure it out along with the characters. That's my favorite kind of thing. So yeah, totally up my jam. I would, if I got a text right now saying it was showing in like 45 minutes, I would speed run through the last movie to go watch it. Dead ass.
No, I get it. Yeah, such an easy one to watch it. And some of the like horror elements that they show, they have this really interesting blend of visual and practical effects for some of the masks the characters wear. The big moon guy, like when he's on screen, that is creepy. That is very, very creepy. And it's like when you're watching the pink opaque, it's just like a moon in the background with a face on it, and it looks like the Journey to the Moon, that original like sci-fi film. It's a bit like that. You're like, oh, it's a little goofy, and then it's like it's on screen and it's like moving around, and it's like this acid trip of a character and all these visual like fractals and movement that are just so deeply uncomfortable. And yeah, it's a fantastic film. So it's a really great one to be at the top of your list too. And so you ended your theater run with your ninth film, All We Imagine Is Light. You spoke about this one a little bit before. This is one I have no idea about. So hit me with this. What's this one about?
Yeah, this one was recommended to me by one of my buddies who works for NZIFF. He was like, this one's going to be huge. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. So I was like, all right, I'll go watch it. Sure. Again, context, I was on death's bed by this point in the festival. I thought I was going to pass out in the cinema. I'm like, man, 9 movies, I'm losing it. The guy who spoke at the beginning of Evil Does Not Exist came out for this one as well to chat a bit about it. He was really happy that this was like the 3rd highest selling film of the bunch. He took a selfie of how packed the audience was and texted it to the director of this movie to just show her, to be like, hey, check this out. This is really cool. Everyone's pulling up for your movie. Again, it's another intergenerational story about these women who live in Mumbai and what they go through as nurses in Mumbai, the life they live. One's a more older woman. She's kind of got a more of a cynical disposition about the world. The reality is what's in front of her. And, this is not, Mumbai is not a place for dreamers. It's not a place where big things happen. Work is work, life is life. It is what it is. And this younger nurse who comes under her stewardship, they share an apartment together, they do things, and she's got dreams. She likes to go out, she likes to be with friends, she's got a boy she's seeing on the side, big scandal. And these two women that they don't really understand each other, they don't connect, they have no boundaries for connection, but they're in the same place at the same time. It's an interesting exercise in how a place can mean different things for different people and how they come to reconcile that in a way. It's interesting. I didn't really find it to be a narrative, and not in the sense that there's no story, but you're not really following a sequence of events. It's very much a fly on the wall. You're living through their life in a sense. It's very slice of life. It's very candid. It's very honest. not in a scandalous way. You'll see scenes of them getting dressed. They'll be naked. There's no care. There's no alert. It's just people living. People, you scenes of them cooking. They're getting dressed. They're going to work. Oh, she's having a shit day at work. Oh, she's listening to music on the bus. The very slice of life. It's an honest interpretation of the city of Mumbai, the people there. It's the highs and the lows. And then near the latter half of the film, they have to go away to kind of like a villagey area. And, there's a whole different experience where they relate to the little village area and like how they connect there. Where do people find their place and their purpose? And their places that you live in and what you make of them at the end of the day. So if you've got this cynical disposition about the world that's holding you back, you aren't making the most of where you live. But if you've got this youthful optimism, it's amazing. But optimism can be lost, but it can also be gained. So it's really a story about how these two women at different points of their lives navigate this space together. And it's interesting to see how they run parallel lines, both in similarity and in differences. I feel like, again, if I wasn't conked out of my brain, I would have probably clicked with it like 20 times more. But it's a really great film, and I would recommend this one. I can definitely recommend this one to be watched.
Awesome. No, I've added it to my watch list now as well, and it's one of those ones that I'm a sucker for slice of life stuff. You know that. Like, give me something that's just like a little wacky and people just like hanging out and existing. I'm like, what? That's what existence looks like.
Yeah,
that's me, baby. So I love those kinds of films, and I'm keen to check this one out as well. It's got the 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. You got 30 people with it as their top 4. Only 5.6 thousand watches. It's on 5.9 thousand lists and 1.8 thousand likes. So this one has not been watched very much at all. Probably the least watched film of the 9 that you've shown.
Yeah, it was a treat. Again, the fact that he was texting the director to kind of be like, hey, check this out, check how cool this is.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like this is like the cusp of something. And I think it had its biggest kind of show now at TIFF. But I remember even the guy said, he's like, oh yeah, she would have been here tonight, but she's adjudicating for a panel at another festival. I'm like, oh man, this is just the start of this film's journey. It's still its embryo stage.
Yeah.
It's still getting born. So this will probably roll out more next year, I assume. But it was a treat to see it now.
Yeah.
It was a treat to see it.
Can't imagine. Dude, like, so it sounds like a really successful first film festival for you.
It was super fun. I'm upset I didn't do more. There's so many I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch The Search for Solomon. I regret not watching The Substance now that I've seen it, and I'm like, oh, I can actually handle that body horror. I'm not a little bitch. I'm fine. I can do it.
Don't say that, because I'm still scared.
I watched The Substance like this for a good portion of it, but I made it through. It through.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch. I think you saw it, Vietnam.
Yep.
Vietnam.
I did see that.
I wanted to watch that. Didn't get to catch that.
That one was. I saw people compare it to Drive My Car a lot because it's you've got the title in the film doesn't drop until an hour in, and people like when the title drops an hour in, like
Dude, I'll do a backflip. I'll do a fucking backflip if that happens.
Yeah.
That's the coolest shit I've ever seen. I wanted to see Kneecap, which you saw. I don't get to see Kneecap.
Awesome. I think that one's in theaters now or available to stream now anyway.
It's on stream.
Yeah.
It's on streaming. Yeah.
That one actually made it into my top 10 for the year. I think it got knocked out a little bit more now with a couple of new ones that I've seen, but I didn't expect that I'd go to the film festival and like something would just make it all the way in. A lot of the films that I watched actually like wildly changed my top 10 for the year so far.
Oh, sure. Yeah, mine knocked quite a few out. I'll go through quickly, but Problemista is at currently at the moment. Problemista is at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Evil Does Not Exist is at number 6. Remarkable Life of Ibelin is at 8, and The Beast is at 10. So that's 4 out of the 9 movies that crept their way into top 10. I saw the TV Glow still at number 1. So even then, 5 out of the 9 are up on the list. So
yeah,
it's big. And then the rest are still kind of in the upper echelon if they're not at the top.
Yeah. I've got I saw the TV Glow in mind. I got to see A Different Man as well, which is just hitting theaters now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, man.
One of the people that I follow on TikTok, Kit Laser, got to watch A Different Man and The Apprentice back to back, and I was like, that sounds like such a cool double feature of watching Sebastian Stan disappear into these characters. And like most people will know him from The Winter Soldier, and he's so much more than Bucky Barnes. Like this dude is insanely talented. Yeah. And yeah, Different Man is one of my favorites of the year. I just like the audacity of that film. I was like, every single time I was like, this is a little fucked up what I'm seeing. The movie's like, hey, guess what? This is fucked up and we know. And look, we're gonna go even further right now. We're gonna go even more. And we're gonna,
Oh man, I'm kidding.
yeah, let's just slap you around a little bit and shock you. And yeah, it's such a good one. But yeah, where am I? I saw Tuesday, which is number 1 for the year for me.
That's your number 1. Yeah.
I saw TV Glow, A Different Man, My Old Ass Thelma, Didi, Kneecap. They're all in my top 12.
Damn.
And then, yeah, Memoir of a Snail, Vietnam are like 15, 16. I got to see Black Box Diaries, the documentary, Sasquatch Sunset.
I wanted to watch. Yeah.
Sasquatch Sunset I love that movie, bro. Mass walkouts, and I get it. It's like when we were talking about, I got to see Megalopolis at MIFF as well.
Yeah. Did people walk out of Sasquatch at MIFF?
Well, I was literally like in like the 3rd row, so I didn't see anyone walk out, but I wouldn't have been surprised if they did. One of my friends and also a friend of the podcast, Nalvis, said that there were walkouts in his screening.
Amazing.
Which I get. Like, there's just nothing. It's stupid. There's nothing going on. It's slice of life, you know. But it's just like, just people trying to be.
I've never gotten so mad at a movie that I've walked out of it. Like, you want to see it to the end, but I can't imagine just getting up and being like,
Twice
there
for
goes
me.
$20. What have you walked out of?
Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chipwrecked.
No.
I walked out and walked into the theater next door because my family went to watch the movie. I didn't want to see it, but they're like, we're going in to watch this. And I walked out and walked into the theater next to it, and Sherlock Holmes 2 was playing, and I was like, oh, this is kind of sick. So not all in all a loss. Still haven't seen the full movie of Sherlock Holmes 2, but cool. And the other one was Power Rangers.
The new one?
Like from the reboot, yeah.
The 2017 one with Elizabeth Banks. Yeah.
I just like, there was some, I've talked to Johnny about this a little bit because he gave me a bit of shit for it. Because I was like, when Elizabeth Banks essentially spikes the lens and goes, take me to Krispy Kremes, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I can't with this shit. Like, I'm going home. And he was like, but that's why it's funny. And I was like, nah, it's not for me, bro. It's not for me. But yeah, no hate to anyone who enjoyed the movie. Like, there was some cool stuff in there. Bryan Cranston, weird.
What's he up to?
Then this year, I almost walked out. And they were like, I was looking at my friends and I was like kind of begging one of them to walk out so I could walk out with them. And that was, I've actually forgotten the name of the movie, Argyle. And then they had a post-credit scene that made me wish that I'd walked out. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? That's what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of my face.
So, you're not ready to study the Kingsman cinematic universe?
Dude, I'm done. I actually rewatched Golden Circle recently and I was like, you can't do it. Just leave the first movie. None of the others exist. They only made one. They only made one, baby. Yeah, but that kind of takes us through the New Zealand International Film Festival. So thank you so much for coming on and giving a couple of recommendations. As I said, it's nice to send people some things that are a little bit different, a little bit more out there.
Yes.
And I think it's also a lot easier for people to get into these kinds of like I say, quote unquote, like art house films, because they're not too like artsy, fartsy kind of thing that you'd like, that you sit there and feel like it's like pretentious. Because I have watched pretentious films before and I've been like, okay, but it's a bit like, it's easier when you know someone who's able to go, I watched this and I liked it, and you go, well, I relate to a lot of the stuff that you like a lot. So I know that the few that I haven't seen that you've seen, I'm like, they're an easy add to my list, my list. So yeah, like great choices, dude. A really successful first film festival for you. What are you planning to be your next film festival?
I will 100% do it again next year. I will make a conceited effort to try and go to MIFF next year as well.
Okay.
Let it go.
Okay. I was thinking about taking some time off work for MIFF next year so I can get some more screenings during the day.
Yeah, I'd be keen to do that. But I do, my shoot for the moon goal is I want to do TIFF next year.
That'd be so cool.
I want to do TIFF next year. I'm going, a commitment I'm going to make sure that I can get press for TIFF. If I can get press for TIFF, I will go and see a bajillion things. I am fully locked into the possibility of doing it. Yeah. I'm making plans right now that will hopefully pay off.
Amazing.
I have deals and plans that will hopefully pay off, but I would love to do as many. And then maybe a couple of small American ones like South by Southwest would be really cool. Sundance would be really fun as well. Cannes, I think you have to get invited to Cannes. I think that's one you need to get invited to.
Yeah.
But if not, I will go.
Yeah.
We'll
There's
see.
a couple
But
more
yeah,
film
just-
festivals that are starting here soon. The Italian Film Festival and the Japanese Film Festival are in November and October. And so I'm
Okay.
tossing up between like, do I want to go and check out a lot more international films? Or am I film festivaled out for the year? I'm not sure. But yeah, TIFF is on the list as well. I would love to hit TIFF next year. I've hit America 2 years in a row. And it's so expensive that it's like I was telling Kay this year, I was like, this is like a rough one because like it's one of the most beautiful trips of my life. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to be back here because if I keep coming here, I'm not going to get anywhere else in the world. Like, it's just not going to happen, you know? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I need to kind of weigh that up a little bit, but I do hope that I can get out there for some film festivals.
Yeah.
soon.
You go pretty hard though. You stayed for like ages.
I was there for 2 months. Yeah. Like I did 1 month last year and 2 months this year. Across all the countries that I went to. But yeah, like a decent chunk of that was in the States and all around the States. Yeah, but I think that'll do us for today's episode. So thank you so much to everyone who's listening. Again, feel free to leave in the comments any other films that you got to check out. If you were at the New Zealand International Film Festival, let us know what you got to see there. Let us know if you were able to stalk Tate and see him while he was walking around all of those places. And if you do check out any of these films we've recommended, like please let us know what you think. We'll be back next weekend with a normal episode of the weekly watch list too. We have Element 7 coming on with the Shawshank Redemption, which I still haven't seen, so I got to watch that this week in preparation for that episode. But that being said, thank you so much for coming on today, Tate. Where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Star Wars Facts Guy with 2 little underscores. Well, my actual name is the Facts Guy because I'm not just talking about Star Wars anymore. There's more to life than one sole thing, one sole IP. Catch me.
One solo IP.
On solo IP. But catch me reviewing movies. I'm doing the raw and real reviews every now and then. I'm reviewing things from now, reviewing things from the past. We have the next raw and real review coming up on a movie that NZIFF has actually just recently watched. So this should be quite interesting for people. Very interesting for me to say the title of that movie on public forum. But
look, the main thing I know is that when the Facts Guy tells you to lock in, you need to lock in. And that's what I've learned. You've not steered me wrong yet. You've not steered me wrong.
My reputation is good, but yeah, stay tuned for published articles from me potentially coming soon.
Awesome, dude. That'll be really awesome. Good on you. Yeah, and you can find me at Seen by NZIFF, or you can find One with the Films at One with the Films everywhere. So you can find links to all of our individual pages in the description below. There's a Google form you can fill out. There's a specific creator of film you'd love to see on the podcast. You can find One with the Films on Instagram and TikTok and all your favorite podcasting platforms of choice. But for now, we'll leave that with you, and we'll hopefully catch you next week on a new episode of One with the Films. See you next time, guys.